Questions. Let me ask you something. Have you ever woken up at 4 a.m.? Not because of an alarm, not because of stress, but because your soul was trying to tell you something. At 4 a.m., the world is silent. Notifications, no noise, no opinions, no pressure, just you and your life standing in front of you like a mirror. And today, I want to share a secret about 4 a.m. that most successful, peaceful, Christians, and fulfilled people don't post on Instagram. Because this secret doesn't view followers. It gives you freedom. Let me tell you a story. Once, someone asked Gaur Gopal questions. Why do you wake up so early every day? He smiled and said, because my problems wake up at 6 p.m. Let that sink in. Most of us wake up and run into life. Questions. But a few people wake up and prepare for life. You see, the difference between a stressed life and a successful life is not luck. It's not talent. It's not background. Questions. It's what you do when nobody is watching. And that happens at 4 a.m. 4 a.m. is not a time. It is a state of mind. Questions. It's that moment in your life when you stop running from yourself and finally sit with yourself. Because during the day you wear masks, professional mask, social mask, strong mask, happy mask. Questions. But at 4 a.m. you meet the real you, the tired you, the dreaming you, the scared you, the powerful you. And here's the hidden secret: if you can win the conversation with yourself in silence. Questions. You can win every conversation with the world in noise. Let me ask you something honestly. How many dreams have you buried because questions? It's too late, I'm not good enough. What will people say? At night you promise yourself, tomorrow I'll change. But in the morning life says questions. And next week, and slowly your dreams don't die loudly, they die quietly. At 4 a.m. you can hear them whisper again. You know what most people do at 4 a.m.? They check their phone and see questions. Last seen 3 hours ago. And suddenly they start overthinking life, career, childhood, past life, future life, and the next 7 generations. But the wise ones, they don't scroll questions, they soul search. Gaur Gopal once said something very powerful. You don't need a better life. Questions. You need a better relationship with your life. And that relationship is built in quiet moments. At 4 a.m. you ask, who am I becoming? What am I running from? What actually matters? Questions. Because success without peace is just a well-decorated prison. Let me tell you something important. The world doesn't change your life. Your habits do. And the most powerful habit is this: questions. Start your day before the world starts demanding from you. Even if you don't wake up at 4 a.m., create a 4 a.m. space in your life. A space where questions. You think instead of react. You breathe instead of rush. You choose instead of drift. A farmer wakes up before sunrise, not because the sun demands it, but because the harvest depends on it. Questions. Your future is the same. If you don't show up early for your dreams, someone else will hire you to build theirs. In ancient wisdom, they say, the morning is God's way of saying questions. You've been given another chance. And what you do with that chance decides who you become. If your life was a book, would you be excited to read the next chapter? Questions. Or are you just rereading the same page every year? Because 4 a.m. people don't repeat years, they rewrite destinies. One day, you will look back at your life and realize questions. It wasn't the big moments that changed you. It was the small, silent decisions. Questions. To wake up instead of give up, to reflect instead of escape, to grow instead of settle. So tonight or tomorrow morning, don't just wake up for work. Don't just wake up for the world. Questions. Wake up for yourself. Because when you conquer your morning, you don't chase success. Success starts chasing you. Thank you. Questions. Most people think 4 a.m. is just a number on the clock. A cruel hour that only monks, soldiers, and overly motivated YouTubers care about. They imagine it as a time when the alarm screams, eyes burn. Questions. And the blanket feels like the best friend they don't want to leave. But the truth is, 4 a.m. is not about waking up early. It's about waking up inside. Questions. Because there are people who wake up at 10 a.m. and still live with the discipline, clarity, and focus over the 4 a.m. mindset. And there are people who wake up at 4 a.m. and still scroll their lives away. Questions. So the real question is not, what time did you wake up? The real question is, did you wake up to your life, or did you just open your eyes? Think about a normal morning. The alarm rings. Questions. You hit snooze once, twice, maybe 3 times. Finally, you grab your phone. And before your feet even touch the floor, you've already entered someone else's world. Messages, news, reels, stories, questions, opinions, expectations. Within 5 minutes, your mind is no longer yours. It belongs to your boss, your family, your friends, and people you don't even know on the internet. That is not waking up. Questions. That is being pulled into the day. Now imagine something different. Imagine you wake up and instead of reaching for your phone, you just sit for 1 minute. You breathe, you feel the air. Questions, you notice your thoughts. In that small moment, something powerful happens. You are not reacting, you are choosing. That is the 4 a.m. mindset. Let me give you a daily life example. Questions. Think of a tea stall owner who opens his shop before the street gets busy. When the city is still stretching and yawning, he's already boiling water, arranging cups, wiping the counter. Questions. By the time the crowd comes, he's not rushing, he's ready. The customers see a calm face, steady hands, and a smooth flow. Now imagine another shop that opens late. The crowd is already there. Questions, orders are flying, pressure is high. Mistakes happen, stress rises. Same business, same street, different mindset. That's what 4 a.m. means in life. It means preparing before pressure arrives. Questions. A student with a 4 a.m. mindset doesn't wait for exams to start studying. They spend a little time every day understanding, not memorizing. When the exam comes, they're not panicking. Questions. They're revising. A parent with a 4 a.m. mindset doesn't only react when the child makes a mistake. They build connection every day. So when a problem comes, the child talks instead of hiding. Questions. Even in relationships, this mindset matters. Most people only talk deeply when something goes wrong. But someone with a 4 a.m. mindset checks in when things are going right. Questions. How are you really feeling? What's been on your mind lately? They don't wait for a storm to build a roof. 4 a.m. is that inner space where you meet yourself before the world meets you. Questions. It's the 5 minutes you spend thinking about your day before the day starts thinking for you. It's the moment you ask questions. What kind of person do I want to be today? Instead of, what do I have to survive today? Because survival mode creates tired people. Intention mode creates powerful people. Questions. Let's be honest. Life is noisy. Everyone wants something from you. Your job wants your energy. Your family wants your time. Your phone wants your attention. The world keeps knocking. Questions. If you don't build a quiet room inside you, you will live your whole life answering knocks, never hearing your own voice. That quiet room is 4 a.m. And you don't need a clock to enter it. Questions. You can enter it in your car before walking into work. You can enter it while washing dishes. You can enter it sitting on your bed at night. It's the moment you stop and ask questions. Am I living on purpose, or am I just living on repeat? A person with a 4 a.m. mindset set doesn't blame the day for being hard. They shape the day to be strong. They don't say questions. I don't have time. They say, what matters enough for me to make time? They don't wait to feel motivated. They move first and motivation follows. Think about a gardener. Questions. He doesn't wait for the plant to look sick before watering it. He waters it every day. And when the season of heat comes, the plant survives because its roots are deep. Your mind is the same. Questions. If you only care for it when you're stressed, tired, or broken, you're already late. The 4 a.m. mindset is daily care for your inner world. And here's the beautiful part. Questions. Once you start living like this, something changes. You stop feeling like life is chasing you. You start feeling like you are walking beside it. You become less reactive, more reflective, less rushed. Questions. More rooted, less afraid, more aware. So when we say 4 a.m. is a mindset, not a clock time, what we really mean is this. It's the decision to meet yourself before you meet the world. Questions. It's the courage to pause in a life that keeps pushing. It's the habit of choosing who you want to be instead of letting the day decide for you. And when you start living like that, questions, every hour of your life begins to feel like 4 a.m., calm, clear, and full of quiet power. Questions. We live in a world that is afraid of silence. The moment there is no sound, no notification, no voice, we rush to fill the gap. We turn on music while cooking. We scroll while waiting. Questions. We check messages while walking. It's almost as if being alone with our own thoughts feels uncomfortable. Questions. But what if I told you that inside that discomfort is the doorway to understanding who you truly are? Silence is not empty. Silence is full. It is full of answers we've been too busy to hear. Questions. Think about a small pond. When the water is disturbed, when stones are thrown in, when waves keep forming, you cannot see the bottom. The water looks unclear. But when the pond becomes still, questions. When everything settles, you can see right through it. Your mind works the same way. Noise, stress, conversations, opinions, and expectations keep creating waves inside you. Questions. Silence lets everything settle so you can finally see what's really there. Let me give you a simple daily life example. Imagine you're driving back home after a long day. The radio is on. Questions. Your phone is buzzing, your mind is replaying conversations from work. You reach home and you barely remember the journey. Now imagine one day you turn everything off. No music, no calls, questions, just you and the road. Suddenly you notice the color of the sky, the sound of the tires on the street, the rhythm of your own breathing. And somewhere between those quiet moments, a thought rises. Questions. Maybe it's something you've been avoiding. Maybe it's a dream you forgot. Maybe it's a feeling you pushed aside. That is self-awareness being born. Silence is like a mirror. Questions. It doesn't tell you who you should be. It shows you who you already are. A mother who sits quietly for 5 minutes before waking her children often notices her own tiredness, her own patience level. Questions. Her own emotional state. And because she notices it, she can respond better instead of reacting. A student who sits in silence before opening a book becomes aware of whether they are anxious, questions, confident, or distracted, and that awareness changes how they study. Most of our problems don't come from what happens outside. They come from not knowing what's happening inside. We say, questions, I'm angry because they said this. But if we sit in silence, we might discover, I'm angry because I felt disrespected. Or, I'm scared of being ignored. The situation is outside. Questions. The truth is inside. Silence helps you find that truth. Think about how often we ask others for advice. Questions. What should I do? What do you think? What's your opinion? But how often do we ask ourselves questions? What do I really feel about this? Silence is the space where that inner voice gets a chance to speak. And here's the funny part. That inner voice doesn't shout, it whispers. Questions. If your life is loud, you will never hear it. A shopkeeper who closes his shop for 10 minutes in the afternoon and sits quietly often comes back with a clearer head. Questions. He might realize which items sell better, which customers he enjoys serving, or even whether he still likes this work. That small pause can bring big clarity. Questions. Silence helps you separate what you want from what you've been told to want. We grow up hearing so many voices. Parents teach friends, society, social media. Questions that this is success. This is happiness, no. This is normal. Over time, those voices become so loud that we forget to ask questions. What does success mean to me? What actually makes me happy? Silence is the space where your own definition can be born. Even in relationships, silence plays a powerful role. Questions. Not the awkward silence, but the comfortable one. Sitting next to someone without talking yet feeling connected. In those moments, you often become aware of how safe, relaxed questions or tense you feel around that person. Words can hide. Silence reveals. There's a reason people say they get their best ideas in the shower or during a walk. Questions. It's not the water or the road that gives ideas. It's the quiet when you remove external noise. Your internal creativity starts speaking. A young professional once said, questions. I don't know what I want to do with my life. So instead of giving advice, someone told him, sit alone for 10 minutes every day. No phone, no music, no notebook. Questions. Just sit. After a few weeks, he realized something surprising. He didn't hate his job. He hated the fact that he never gave time to what he loved. Questions. That awareness didn't come from a motivational video. It came from silence. Silence also teaches you about your emotions. When you sit quietly, you start noticing patterns. Questions. I feel heavy every Sunday night. I feel lighter after talking to this person. I feel drained after scrolling too much. This is self-awareness in action. Once you see the pattern, questions, you can change the habit, and slowly something beautiful happens. You stop being a stranger to yourself. You start understanding why you react the way you do, why certain things hurt. Questions, why some moments make you feel alive. You become kinder to yourself because you finally know yourself. So when we say silence builds self-awareness, we are really saying this. Questions. In a world that keeps telling you who to be, silence helps you remember who you are. It's not about escaping life. It's about meeting it from a deeper place. Questions. And once you start listening to that quiet voice inside you, you'll realize something powerful. The more you understand yourself, the less confused you feel about the world. Questions. Most people think success is something loud, big achievements, applause, recognition, trophies, promotions, followers. But what if I told you that real success is actually very quiet? Questions. So quiet that most people sleep through it. Because success doesn't start when the world is watching. It starts when the world is still dreaming. Think about the sun. Questions. It doesn't rise suddenly in the middle of the sky. It begins its journey long before you notice it. The sky slowly changes color. The darkness gently fades. By the time you say, wow, questions, what a beautiful morning, the hard work has already been done. Success is the same. What people admire in public is built in private. Let's look at a simple daily life example. Questions. There's a bakery in a small neighborhood. At 7 a.m., people line up outside, excited by the smell of fresh bread and warm pastries. They compliment the baker. Questions. You're so talented. Your food is amazing. But what they don't see is that the baker woke up at 3 a.m. While the city was silent, he was mixing dough, heating ovens, shaping loaves. Questions. By the time the world wakes up, his success is already on display. This is how life works. A student who tops the class doesn't suddenly become smart during the exam. Questions. They studied when others were watching movies. They practiced when others were scrolling. They asked questions when others were joking. Their success began in the quiet hours of effort. Questions, not in the loud moment of results. A parent who raises confident, kind children doesn't just show up for school events and celebrations. They show up in small, invisible moments. Questions, listening to stories before bedtime, having calm conversations after a tough day, teaching values through their own actions. No one applauds those moments. Questions. But those moments build a successful human being. Success before the world wakes up doesn't always mean waking up early in the morning. It means doing the work before you are forced to do the work. Questions. It means preparing instead of panicking. Imagine two employees. One waits for the boss to assign tasks, then rushes to finish them. The other looks ahead. They learn new skills, organize their work. Questions. Think about how they can improve. When an opportunity comes, one is surprised, the other is ready. Same office, same hours, different mindset. Questions. This mindset is what separates people who chase success from people who attract success. When you start early, not just in time but in intention, you build confidence. Questions. You walk into situations knowing you've already done the work. That quiet confidence changes how you speak, how you move, how you decide. Even in health, this principle shows up. Questions. Someone who waits till they are sick to care about their body lives in reaction. Someone who eats well, moves daily, and rests properly lives in preparation. When challenges come, questions, their body is stronger, their recovery is faster, their life is steadier. Let's talk about dreams. Most people say, one day I'll start, one day I'll write, one day I'll learn. One day, questions, I'll try, but one day is the most dangerous day because it has no date on the calendar. A person who lives by before the world wakes up says to today, questions, I'll take one small step. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They create quiet progress. 5 minutes of writing, 10 minutes of learning, one honest conversation. These small steps, questions, done consistently, become a powerful journey over time. Think of a river. It doesn't carve a mountain in one day. It flows gently, continuously. And one day the mountain changes shape. Questions. That's how silent effort works. It doesn't look impressive at first, but it changes everything. There's also something deeply peaceful about working when no one is watching. Questions. You're not performing. You're not competing. You're just becoming. You're not trying to prove anything. You're trying to improve something. Yourself. Questions. A shop owner who cleans his store before opening doesn't do it for praise. A teacher who prepares lessons late at night doesn't do it for applause. Questions. A young artist who practices in an empty room doesn't do it for likes. They do it because they care. And care, repeated over time, turns into excellence. When the world wakes up, it sees the result. Questions. But the result is just the shadow of the effort that came before. And here's the beautiful truth. When you start living this way, you stop feeling jealous of others' success. Questions. Because you know what it takes, you respect the process, you trust your own journey, you stop asking, why them? And start asking, what can I do today? That shift is powerful. Questions. Because every morning, every quiet moment, every small effort becomes a vote for the person you want to become. Questions. So when we say success begins before the world wakes up, what we really mean is this: it begins in the moments when no one is clapping. It begins in the choices that don't look impressive. Questions. It begins in the discipline that doesn't get posted. And one day when the world finally notices you, it will look like magic to them. But you will know the truth. It wasn't magic. Questions. It was the quiet work you did when the world was still asleep. Questions. Most people wait for motivation like they wait for a perfect day. They say, when I feel inspired, I'll start. When I feel confident, I'll try. When I feel ready, questions, I'll change. But here's the quiet truth that life teaches us again and again: motivation is like the weather. Some days it's sunny, some days it's cloudy. Questions. If you only move when the weather is perfect, you will spend most of your life standing still. Habits, on the other hand, are like the ground beneath your feet. You don't think about it. Questions. You just walk on it. And wherever that ground leads, that's where you eventually arrive. Let's look at a simple daily life example. Think about brushing your teeth. Questions. You don't wake up every morning and say, today I feel deeply motivated to brush my teeth. You just do it. It's automatic, it's a habit. Questions. Now imagine if you only brushed your teeth on the days you felt inspired. You already know how that story would end. Your life works the same way. Questions. The small things you do without thinking. How you start your morning, how you speak to people, how you use your free time. Questions. How you respond to stress. These are the quiet forces that shape who you become. A student who studies for 10 minutes every day, even when they don't feel like it, slowly becomes confident. Questions. Not because they are smarter, but because their habit keeps them moving forward. Another student who waits for mood and motivation studies in big, stressful bursts. They live on pressure. Questions. One grows steadily. The other survives temporarily. A person who takes a short walk every evening might not look like they're changing much. But after a year, their body feels lighter. Questions. Their mind feels clearer and their energy feels stronger. Another person who waits for a big burst of motivation joins a gym, goes for 2 weeks, then disappears. One chose a small habit. Questions. The other chased a big feeling. Here's the interesting part. Habits don't ask how you feel. They ask who you are becoming. Think about how a river flows. Questions. It doesn't stop to ask if it feels like moving today. It just keeps going. And over time, it creates valleys, shapes land, and changes landscapes. Your habits are that river. Questions. Every small action is a drop of water. Alone, it feels insignificant. Together, they create a destiny. In daily life, you can see this everywhere. Questions. A parent who makes it a habit to listen instead of interrupt builds a home where children feel safe to speak. A friend who makes it a habit to show up on time builds trust without saying a single word. Questions. An employee who makes it a habit to learn something new every week builds a future that slowly opens doors. None of these people wake up every day feeling excited about doing these things. Questions. They do them because it's who they are, not because it's how they feel. Motivation says, do this because you feel good. Habit says, questions. Do this because this is who you are. An identity is far more powerful than emotion. Let me give you another simple example. There's a man who wants to write a book every day. Questions. He waits for inspiration. Some days he feels it and writes 2 pages. Then he doesn't write for a week. Months pass. The book remains a dream. Another person writes just 1 page every day. Questions. No matter what, happy day, bad day, busy day, 1 page, after a year they have a book, not because they were more talented, but because they were more consistent. Life doesn't reward intensity. Questions. It rewards consistency. Habits are like votes. Every time you repeat an action, you are voting for the type of person you want to become. When you choose to read instead of scroll, questions, you vote for being a learner. When you choose to speak kindly instead of sharply, you vote for being a calm person. When you choose to save a little instead of spend everything, questions, you vote for being secure. You don't become something one day. You become it little by little. And here's something beautiful about habits. They remove the burden of decision making. Questions. You don't have to argue with yourself every day. You don't have to fight your mood. You just follow your system. Questions. A person who has a habit of waking up and stretching doesn't debate with their bed. A person who has a habit of planning their day doesn't feel lost by noon. Questions. A person who has a habit of gratitude doesn't drown in negativity when something goes wrong. They've built a structure that holds them up even when their emotions feel weak. Let's be honest. Questions. There will be days when you feel tired, days when you feel doubtful, days when you feel like quitting. Those days don't mean you're failing, they mean you're human. But on those days, questions, motivation will disappear, habits will stay. They will carry you when you can't carry yourself. And slowly, you'll notice something powerful. You don't need to chase big change anymore. Questions, big change starts chasing you. Opportunities appear, confidence grows, people trust you. Not because you talk about what you want to do, but because your actions show who you already are. Questions. So when we say your habits shape your destiny, not motivation, what we really mean is this: your future is being built right now, in the smallest moments of your day. Questions. In how you spend the first 10 minutes after you wake up, in how you speak when you're tired, in what you choose when no one is watching. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. Questions. You fall to the level of your habits. And the beautiful part is, you don't have to change your whole life today. You just have to change one small thing you do every day. Because one small habit, questions, repeated long enough doesn't just change your routine. It changes your direction. And when your direction changes, your destiny follows. Questions. Most people think dreams end with a dramatic moment. A big failure, a huge rejection, a public embarrassment. But that's not how dreams usually die. Dreams don't collapse in one loud crash. Questions. They fade away in silence, little by little, day by day, hidden inside small excuses and soft compromises. It starts with something simple. Questions. I'll do it tomorrow. I'm too tired today. Let me first settle this one thing. I'll start when life becomes easier. And before you realize it, weeks turn into months. Questions. Months turn into years. The dream is still there, but it's quieter now. It doesn't knock anymore. It just sits in the corner waiting, hoping you remember it. Think about a childhood dream. Questions. Maybe you wanted to sing, draw, travel, start a business, become a teacher, help people, create something of your own. At some point, life got busy. Responsibilities grew. People gave advice. Questions. Fear joined the conversation. And slowly, the dream didn't disappear. It just got pushed to the someday shelf. And someday is a very dangerous place. Because someday feels safe. Questions. It doesn't demand anything from you. It doesn't challenge you. It just waits quietly while life keeps moving. Let me give you a simple daily life example. Questions. There's a man who always wanted to learn how to play the guitar. Every time he saw someone playing, his eyes would light up, his fingers would move in the air, pretending to strum. He told himself, questions. One day I'll learn. Then came work. Then came family. Then came tired evenings. The guitar stayed in the shop window. Years later, he walked past the same shop. The guitar was still there. Questions. But the dream inside him wasn't as loud anymore. It had become a soft memory instead of a burning desire. Nothing dramatic happened. No one told him, you can't. Life just kept saying, questions. Not now. And he kept agreeing. Dreams die in those agreements. A student wants to study abroad. They research for a week. They get excited. Then they see the paperwork, the exams, questions. The competition, it feels hard. So they say, let me try next year. Next year becomes the year after. Eventually, the dream becomes a story they tell others instead of a plan they work on. Questions. A woman wants to start a small business. She talks about it with friends. She imagines the logo, the name, the shop. But she waits for the perfect time. The perfect time never comes. And slowly, questions. The excitement turns into doubt. Maybe I'm not made for this. The dream doesn't end. It just goes quiet. And that's the saddest part. Because a loud failure still has energy. Questions, you can rise from it. You can learn from it. You can try again. But a quiet death leaves no trace. No lesson. No moment. Just a slow fading. Dreams also die in comparison. Questions. You see someone else doing what you wanted to do. They're younger, they're faster, they're successful. And instead of feeling inspired, you feel small. So you tell yourself, questions. What's the point now? And just like that, another piece of your dream goes silent. But here's something important. A dream doesn't need to be loud to stay alive. It needs to be fed. Questions. Think about a plant in a corner of your house. If you forget to water it, it won't suddenly fall over one day. The leaves will slowly lose color. The stem will droop. The soil will dry. Questions. By the time you notice it's already too late, your dreams work the same way. They need small, regular care. A few minutes of practice, one page of reading, one step toward learning, questions, one honest conversation. These are like drops of water. They keep the dream alive. Let's look at another daily life example. There's a teacher who always wanted to write a book for children. Questions. She didn't have hours, she didn't have a quiet room, she had work, family, and responsibilities. But every night she wrote just one paragraph. Some nights it was good. Some nights it wasn't. Questions. But she kept going. After 2 years, she had a book. The dream didn't survive because she had talent or time. It survived because she didn't let it go silent. Questions. Most people don't fail at their dreams. They abandon them politely. They say, I'm being realistic. They say, this is just how life is. They say, questions. I should be grateful for what I have. And gratitude is beautiful. But gratitude should not become a cage. You can be thankful for where you are and still work for where you want to be. Questions. Dreams also die in comfort. When life becomes stable, predictable, and safe, the fire inside sometimes becomes a candle. Not because the dream is gone, questions, but because the risk feels bigger than the desire. So people choose comfort over curiosity, safety over growth. And slowly the dream learns to stay quiet so it doesn't disturb the peace. Questions. But here's the truth that no one tells you. One day, when life slows down, when the noise reduces, when you finally have time to sit with yourself, those quiet dreams come back. Questions. They don't come back to motivate you. They come back to ask, what happened to us? And that question is heavier than any failure. So when we say dreams die quietly, questions, not loudly, what we really mean is this: your biggest enemy is not rejection. It's delay. It's not failure. It's forgetting. It's not fear. It's comfort. The beautiful part is questions. As quietly as dreams die, they can also be brought back to life. All it takes is one small action, one step, one decision, one moment where you say, not someday. Questions. Today. Because dreams don't need a perfect plan. They need a living, breathing you who refuses to let them fade into silence.